under control of critical functions.
Greetings, all you wild and weirdos and weirdettes out in Wild Weird Radio Land. It's Iron. That's Joe. That's Doomsday Dave over on the end. This is Wild and Weird Radio Live, the show that allows you to be a part of it. So please, by all means, join in the conversations tonight and ask your questions and your comments on some of these things, because we've got a lot to cover. There's been a lot of news, and we're going to go over as much of it as we possibly can.
And not only that, we are a week away, folks. 1 week away. Mm-hmm. Next Saturday is going to be the first get together of 2026.
That's right.
And we're really looking forward to that. And you guys are already getting the fundage rolling there. And we appreciate you, LR, LW, Dave Eggleston. And it looks like the Stone Maven. We appreciate you. Thank you guys so much. We're going to throw up a blessing for you here in just a second. We'll want to get everybody else greeted in the house real quick. We've got Brenda Ratliff, Wolves Den. We've got 9 Lives. That's old Donna Ho over there. Then we've got Gary Foote. We've got Chris in the house. What's going on, buddy? Hope you're feeling well. We've got Jordan Booker. What's going on? Happy Thursday right back at you, brother. We've got who else? Rachie, what's going on, Rachie? Good seeing you. Stone Maven, how's it going? LR Miller, what's up, brother? Uvaru is here. LR, yes, you were the first. You were the first. Dave Eggleston, we appreciate you so much, man. Donate early and donate often. I think he's starting the WW pack.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you.
And we're going to push for civilian disclosure.
we actually are, aren't we? I mean,
yeah,
kind of.
Yeah. It is a beautiful evening here in the Appalachian region, and it sounds like it's reaching all the way out to Texas. Old Tejas is having a really nice evening as well. Oz is out there. Hope you're having some nice enjoyment out in the weather. I know it's usually cold and has been cold out your neck of the woods. Let's see, who else? Yeah, I remember you mentioning that in previous episodes. That's why I brought that up, man. That's why I caught it. You're awesome. We appreciate you, buddy.
Absolutely.
Let's see. We got Shane Lorison, 666. Oh, demons.
Demons everywhere. They're everywhere.
Been a long time since I caught a live stream. Hey, glad you're hanging out.
Glad you made it.
Appreciate it. You know how it rolls. Jump in, chime in, throw in your 2 cents, ask questions. We've got Linda Sigmund watching, hanging out with us. What's going on, Linda? Lisa is here. I hope everybody's getting ready for next week's event.
Dance with those orbs.
Yeah, it'll be awesome. Then Wild and Weird. There's a lot worse packs than the WNWV pack. That's right. That is the truth. Beautiful out, chilling at the froggies in the backyard. Oh, yeah. If you guys are up north of us, you've got tons of frogs. Pickerels are out. Wood frogs are out. All kinds of good stuff. Press the spring peepers. It's chilly in Flagstaff, Arizona with the light rain. We'll enjoy it. You know how infrequent that rain is.
That is very infrequent.
Carla, what's going on? Beautiful evening up in the Chestnut Ridge. That's good to hear. Good to hear. You might want to poke your head out there periodically. Yeah. Take a look at the sky. Oz, okay, if it's up to us, I would like to disclose there. And I said it. There is stuff up there. And
hashtag I am disclosure. Absolutely.
That's right. I dig it. Hey, that need for real, Ron. Go. We put that on a shirt, throw it into the shop.
Okay.
Just that.
Just that. I am disclosure.
Yeah.
We could do that.
That would be really cool.
We could do that.
And we'll put like a set of blinking eyes on the somewhere.
There you go. That's it.
Then let's see. Mark D. Honestly, I don't remember subscribing, but I can already see why I did. Hey,
It must have been one of those weird.
Mark.
One of those weird fever dreams, or it was an alternate timeline. Mark, it could be that too.
Indeed,
Ron's good at abduction.
It could have been.
So again, that right. If I could get, I need to just look at my camera when I point it.
Just do the opposite of what you think it is.
Dave.
It took me like weeks to figure it out.
Angle, so I feel like I'm pointing straight, but I'm not.
Joe.
So right there, Ron.
Look, we all did that thing, the creation thing. Look, it's like
we're Wild and Weird Radio. Thanks for joining us. And remember, next week is the free event. It is the Wild and Weird get together. You guys who generously donate and keep the show on the road, keep the lights on in the studio and all that good stuff. You guys are awesome. Next week's going to be even crazier.
So what do we got, Joe? Just really quick before we roll into everything. What's going to happen next week for those folks who've never made it or
next week? So food is completely covered and free. It is kind of potluck style, but the main course is provided by yours truly. I'm a classically trained chef. I'm going to be making some pulled pork barbecue and pulled chicken barbecue. They'll be unsauced, so that way if you guys don't want to add sauce, you can add sauce to your pleasure or leave it naked as you wish. It will be seasoned though. I don't just throw out.
What about slaw? We got slaw.
There's going to be slaw, yellow slaw, white slaw, and then tons of desserts. There are a lot of people's bringing desserts.
So we have the Indrid cold slaw then.
Indrid cold slaw is going to be in the house.
Y'all heard it. That right there is worth the trip. I'm sorry.
And what I'm going to do too is I'm going to get some of the little mason jars. And I'm going to mix up the dressing for people to take home so they can add it to cabbage as they want.
Try it themselves. Yeah, that's a great idea. I love it. Yeah.
So that's going to be the number one door prize coming through. So we do need you guys to RSVP over on the event page. It's on Facebook.
It does help.
And if you're not on Facebook, shoot us a message somehow and like either Instagram or YouTube somehow and let us know you're coming. So that way we can add you to the list and we have a good, accurate head count to get in. We're also going to be having door prizes. We have prints that are going to be there. If you have won one of the prizes in the big 3,000 drawing and you're going to be at this meeting, we're going to give you your prize there. If not, I'm going to start shipping them next week. So door prizes are going to be great. We have a night vision goggle set. We've got that's the big one. There are a backpack. There is
you got that pack, right? We showed the pack.
We showed the pack. Pull it out and show them again.
Yeah, I love this thing. I did this last week for those who didn't see it, but this is mine because when he said he's going to get one, I was like, this would be this. I want one. Yep. And it's great because you'll see me out in the field with this a lot. This is really cool. Yep. It's got a place to put all your stuff, obviously, and I can put all the meters in here, and we can just run on the go with this thing. I mean, I love it. It's very very comfortable too. This is really nice.
It breathes really well. It's got a nice breathable chest pad, so that way you don't sweat as bad. I mean, anything you wear, you're going to have a little bit of sweat, but it's comfortable. And there's some other. I know Dave's going to be having some art prints there. Ron's going to have some art prints there. It's hard to tell what all else is going to show up because we all have you guys. And historically, there have been some guests that have shown up with stuff to throw in the door prizes as well. So I'm not going to rule that out. We don't ask for that. That's not a requirement, but there has been some really cool guests that have showed up and brought gifts for everybody. And it's just really, really cool.
Yeah, it's neat. And make sure that, of course, this is for sharing information and you are disclosure, right? I mean, that's the whole thing. So if you've got anything you want to show, bring it. We've got audio, video set up there, HDMI. So plug your computer into it and go. We'll have ours there too, but there's no guarantee that's going to work, but it might. I mean, so if you just have a thumb drive, we can give it a shot. But if you got your own computer, please bring it and share what you got. Anything, any evidence, any kind of whatever you want to share. Speaking of which, we will also have a surprise there, just to let you know. In regards to our own research, we're going to show you something. That's what we're going to do. We're going to show you something. I'm really excited and I cannot wait because this is something that's been it's been a while coming.
Since August.
It's been a while coming. Yeah.
Yep. The plans were drafted in August when we were working on after the first initial launch of some of the experiments that we did for Strange Realities.
Yeah.
We started brainstorming on the way home, and Ron was like, "Oh, if we could just do X, that would be really, really cool."
Yeah.
And so then it started moving, and you guys are going to get to see it in real life and have the person that built it talk about it with
What's
you.
great about it is that it's the pure example of how the collective works.
Right. 100%.
We found somebody who literally said, I can do this. And I'm like, okay, I'm willing to look at it. And then when they proof of concept, it's like, all right, we're funding that. That's great. That's what we're doing. Yeah. And we're going to, you'll get to see it. I don't want to say anymore. It's going to be great. And for the folks who aren't going to be there, yes, you will still get to see it. Don't worry. It's going to happen. It'll just be a lot later on. And because I think it's going to show up in a future episode of Beyond, that whole thing. Strange Realities.
Oh, Strange Realities. Yeah. It'll be
Beyond Reality.
It'll be a few episodes away from where we're at currently.
It'll have the Beyond Reality or whatever it was. We called it after the after show as well, I'm sure, for those folks who weren't there for that nightmare. That'll be fun. No, for real. That was a lot of fun. So,
all right. So you got a question about where can you get more information about the event? It's over on Facebook.
Let me get
and let's see where
there's an event page.
Yeah, I'm grabbing it right now.
Yeah, just grab that event page and put that in there for them. That way they can have a look at that.
That is not what I wanted to do.
It's very hard to do. They made it kind of hard.
Yeah.
It's almost like they don't want you sharing your videos.
All right, here we go. This is the event over on the Facebook page. Just copy that URL and throw it into your browser. I keep grabbing the wrong glass. This is the one I'm using.
All right. That's good. I'm glad that one doesn't have acrylic in it or something.
Yeah, right.
Some resin, you know.
So yeah, there we go. Grab that. That's where you can get your information on where it's located. It is free. Like we said, it is funded by the collective. It's funded by you guys. And that's one reason that we're able to do this. And
multiple thank yous, by the way.
It was our way of figuring out a way to kind of give back in a more meaningful way that was just something more than trinkets.
Though you do get your trinkets from time to time.
You do get the trinkets from time to time. It was to give an experience to anybody who can make it.
You know, what's great is to actually have other people who are interested in this stuff share their data and their research in an open environment without any kind of, egos involved. And it's just an incredible thing to see. Like I said, you have skeptics sitting there. You've got, hardcore believers, and you've got, the people in between, and they're all sitting at the same table talking. Kind of like right here. It's basically a live version of this. All right, folks. So the goals are set, obviously, up there. And tonight you are going to get, it's going for a brand new blessing screen unlock. For those who don't know what that is, we're going to show you just in a couple seconds, because there's been a few of them here.
There's been several. So
there has been.
Yeah.
And there's a brand new one that will be unlocked tonight when we hit our goal. As well as I've got a new thing over here that I might play some tunes on for you later toward the end of the show. So we'll see if we unlock that, but I sure hope we do, because you're going to enjoy it. All right. So are we ready to jump into the whole news cycle and try to cover some of this stuff? Because my goodness, there's a lot. There is
quite a bit. There's quite a bit.
You ready to roll?
Almost. You
want to hit it? You can hit it.
Well, here we go. We're almost there. Everybody, thank you.
Yeah, that's one of the blessings. That's an older one.
There we go. So now here we go. Let's dive into the news segment.
Spin. Oh man, oh man, oh man. So first of all, I mean it's been a crazy one just to just to say that.
Yeah, it's been crazy, tragic, and bizarre.
And
I think
bizarre.
that's a good way to mix it
Yeah.
up.
Yeah, I think that's probably accurate. So let me load you up here, and we'll just we'll take off right at the beginning, and we'll go from there. Because, like I said, there's some grounds we got to cover here, and
I've
there's
been
some
sharing
things,
so much information the past week.
and
so
it should have populated. You got population over there?
Oh, I was pulling up the other thing, but yeah, it's there.
Okay, yeah. So that's pretty much it. So we can start whenever you're ready to roll, Matt.
So this week, the first thing that really kicked off, it was on Tuesday. TMZ ran an interview that they did with Representative Tim Burchett, and he's been on a lot of interviews this week because Luna gets tied up in stuff, and she doesn't always appear in some of these interviews. She does some of the more long format, it seems. And then Burchett goes and does the intermittent snippets. And then you've got Burleson that's going and doing all these long format web shows. So it almost seems like they've kind of compartmentalized within themselves there. But he explained this week that basically we're not alone.
Yeah, he kind of did, right? So
we're not alone.
Yeah, so you want to take us to
presentation?
Take us presentation mode. I've got those clips for us, and we'll watch them, dissect them, and get everybody's opinion on these. I want to hear from everybody. As you've been told, you are a disclosure, which means that you have just as much right to talk about this as anyone else. So here's clip number one.
Did you see, now I guess it would be about 2 weeks ago, that was very alarming, the way you said that, at least.
Yeah, well, because of the circumstances and where it was, I can't get into too much specifics, but it was elaborating on some stuff that we'd asked for, and it was important to get this person in a secure setting to where we could ask him these questions. And there's somebody in the meeting with us. One of my colleagues, I guess you'd say, was basically there just to kind of upset the apple cart and to throw, a monkey wrench into the deal. And every time a question was asked by this particular party, it was really the answers were out there, and they gave them, and they gave specifics, they gave addresses, they gave times and dates and people that were in the meeting. And this went all the way up to the executive branch of previous presidents.
Now we've heard that rumor before multiple times.
Yeah.
Before we go into this news, someone did bring it up. We did lose Nick Pope this week.
Yes, we did. So that was part of the tragic news.
Yeah, was going to start the thing out with that, and I completely did not. It takes hours to put the stuff together, and that was one of the parts that we missed. Thank you, whoever it was that said that, reminded us, and yes, that is true. Which he hadn't been in good health for a while, and it wasn't unexpected, but it was unexpected.
It was coming, and it's still rough though.
Yep, absolutely. The contributions the man made, I got a feeling he learned a little bit. Let's just say that. I think that he, unlike some of the previous ones who went, I got a feeling that Nick knew a little bit more when he walked out the door.
And I'm honestly shocked that he didn't have something. Like, I kind of wished, of all people with his level of involvement, that he would have had some kind of a dead man's switch, that once it was gone and there was no repercussions, like, here it is.
Well, you never know. I mean, you just never know. I mean, there are multiple contingencies on the floor right now for a lot of this stuff, and we're going to talk about that later. So let's go to what is it, the second clip, right? Yeah, second clip.
Yep.
Because it gets this interview just kept getting more out there, and it's like, is this really happening, kind of a thing. So here's the other part.
There have been different reports over the years. Some reports that there have been pieces of machinery that were found that did not seem earthly. And then there have been reports about life that is not earthly. Which one of those two, or both, are you talking about? A form of life that is not earthly, or of just something mechanical that's not earthly?
I'd say you'd be safe to say both.
The way you described this, whatever
Smart.
happened and this meeting, this briefing that was happening, was there something that if we knew, we would feel that we are in danger? You said you wouldn't sleep at night if you knew the things that I saw in these briefings.
Yeah.
Should we believe that that's the part where it seemed alarming?
I don't think we're at danger of this. I mean, if these things exist as I think they do, they could have destroyed us with a blink of an eye. I just don't see that, and I think that's. I just think, but I do think they have the technology and the capabilities of something that we can't understand or we can't grasp.
No arguments there. But here's the thing: that was pretty much official disclosure.
It really was.
Yeah.
And it's just like it just went through just like that.
It meant that the reaction from the folks at TMZ were just kind of like,
what? Yeah,
like it just went through them. They didn't catch it.
They didn't expect
I
it.
heard this clip and saw the way he smirked and said what he said.
Yeah,
I was like, oh my God.
It was almost like he had wanted to say it for a while, and someone said, "Okay, you can say it this time."
Mhm.
That's kind of what I got from that, right, Dave? Don't you think?
Yeah, or he might got his hand slapped maybe for too much. Who knows?
No, I don't think so. No.
Now, that could have been retaliation from the slap because he did say that they had that meeting and there was a guy throwing a monkey wrench and everything.
Well, that's in there too.
And this could have been yanking the monkey wrench out of the wheel spokes too.
I mean, who knows? It's very possible, right?
There's a few ways to look at that.
Let's go to number 3.
I want to make sure I'm understanding is a member of our government has told you and others, I guess, that there is a form of alien life and machinery which maybe brought this living creature here that interacted in some form with people?
Yeah, they have, and they've. It's pretty wild. I know, but I'm just telling you, I'm not going to lie to you. I'd take a lie to tell you. You want to put me on a polygraph, I'll take it. But this is what the guy told me. I mean, I've had a very high-ranking naval official describe. I've talked about this before.
Tim got that.
Yep.
Underwater craft, something big as a football field, moving at over 200 miles an hour. And there's no fish in the ocean that would do that. We don't even have a sub that'll probably do 40 miles an hour and the last thing he said before he left my office was it was kind of weird because he didn't go out he went out the side door, which nobody ever uses, and he looked at me, he pulled me up close, he said, "Tim, they're real."
I mean, this is something that we're hearing, and it's kind of become a constant thing now. They're real. And
must be some X-Files stuff though when they go out Skinner's side door when you're watching X-Files,
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah, it's true. So he said some other stuff that was very very interesting. He remarked on the Matt Gaetz thing. And for those who don't know, this was last week's big news.
I don't think so much that he really remarked on it as much as he just refused to acknowledge it.
Oh, he said, if you want it, then you need to go talk to them. But he also said he heard the same thing. Again, it's important to understand that these people want you to believe this stuff. Okay. There's a good chance that they've been subjected to disinformation along with information, or like we call it, the lie sandwich. And, you gotta put all this stuff on the table. You gotta look at it and see what weighs out and what doesn't. But here's that other clip.
Gates was involved in something here just recently he was interviewed and he talked about this interbreeding thing with
We saw that.
yeah. Well, that's a true story. That was military personnel. I think that would be a good story to talk to him about if you all can do that.
Right. He says he learned that from someone in the military.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a guy who's an officer in uniform.
Yeah.
And Matt and I and Representative Luna, we all went down to Florida, and we were turned away. And then Matt made a phone call to somebody at the Pentagon, and all of a sudden they opened the doors and brought the pilots in that were supposed to tell us the story in the first place. And he can probably elaborate a little bit more on that. But that was pretty fantastic. That was a made for TV special right there in itself.
I mean, it was a made for TV special right there in itself.
Yeah.
All right, boys. Let's digest this before we move on to the next part. Let's digest this, and go for it. Did
this officially with the unofficial? We've already had so many unofficial mentions. Like the whole disclosure thing already happened. But this is the first time that a public official, federal official, has just outright, plain verbiage said, yeah, we're not alone. Yeah, there were living things. Yeah, they could have destroyed us. They could destroy us, and they won't, or they don't. Somebody who's like currently serving, we hear some of this stuff. A lot of it in the past has been from people who are in retirement or they're no longer members. But this guy's still wearing the suit. He's still showing up, and he's running for re-election.
Folks, I have placed a new widget up here. This is another thing that they've given us to interact with you folks with. Let us know what you think. There's a poll up there. I've never used this before, so this will be really cool.
It'll be nice to see how it works, guys.
Was this actual official disclosure? Yes, no, or is it just more lies? Joe, I mean, we heard keywords in there. We heard the mention of the Eglin incident, right? We heard mentions of basically these other stories, these other accounts that have been brought up. And what's the deal? I mean, is it real, or is it like it says here? Was there bits and pieces of truth in there? That's what I'm trying to get at.
Well, it's been, if you read between the lines with all of this stuff, ever since the first hearing, even with Lou Elizondo, there's a lie sandwiches.
Right.
I feel that there is. Like I can't look at everything that Lou has said with all the other stuff that has popped up
and say it's 100%, right?
And
that's what you're trying to get at. Yeah. Right. But that's not calling anyone a liar. That's
it's just being objective. It's looking at the data objectively, saying, was there a misinformation fed? Very likely, because so much of this stuff is compartmentalized, and Lou would tell you that it is so hyper compartmentalized that there's possibility that, he was told that party A was doing one thing, but in reality, they were doing another. And that was just what he was told due to compartmentalization. And they had no idea what he was doing. And that's why some of those other parties that come out and say things against Lou don't have any clue, because of the compartmentalization as well on their behalf.
Right.
Like, he was very likely compartmentalized in what he was doing as well, just as parties A, B, and C are. Now, looking at some of the other witnesses that have come forward, some of the stuff that has been said is just like, holy crap. You have things that are being said from that Matthew character.
Yeah. Okay.
And it seems to be diving more into the quasi-religious aspects.
Right.
And then you've got folks that are seeing craft levitate up out of buildings after a hangar door opens. That's a very nuts and bolts kind of thing and less of a spiritual kind of thing, in my opinion, based just off of data.
Yeah.
Why would something of spiritual nature need a door to open up, like a big hangar door, instead of just phasing straight through it? The aspects that we have other elsewhere to look at are the crash retrieval program. That's a nuts and bolts thing. You can't retrieve a supernatural thing. That defeats the title of supernatural. If you can actually grab and pick up an object and bring it home, that's not a supernatural object.
No, it wouldn't be, would it?
No, it might have kind of a supernatural ability.
Yeah.
At least is the way that we would interpret it as supernatural ability.
Folks, we're not sure how the poll works. This is the first time it's ever been implemented. So I see it working for some, and some are saying they can't see it. So I don't know if you guys can help each other and answer those questions. Like, are you seeing it pop up? Because all we're seeing is a box over here. I'm not seeing any kind of
interaction. And we do see that we've got a 50% yes, 38% no, and 11% say more lies.
Right. I mean, honestly, I think that if you don't leave yourself open to the possibility that it could be disinformation at some level, then you're lying to yourself. I mean, we know that there's something there, right? That this is a given. There's something there.
Dave is getting ready to go and adjust his scope to get some amazing photographs. He'll be right back. Dave, we'll be waiting for you, brother.
Dave?
So if you guys don't know, Dave is an astrophotographer. So we have an absurdly clear night tonight, and he has an opportunity that he has not had in months to do some photography. So he's got, I think, 2 different telescopes, maybe 3 running right now, taking photographs, and he'll be right back with us.
Yeah, he's got
quite Jace, what's going on? Type chat in your answer.
Is that how it works?
Thank you.
Perfect. Well, thank you. Thank you. We'll figure it all out. Like I said, it's the first time we've ever seen it. It's kind of a neat thing. So we're going to definitely try it. And
need a fourth option of somewhere in between. I can make that happen real quick.
Oh, that's easy.
Yep.
They made it to where we can, I think, adjust it. Yeah, on the fly. So
I'm adding an option now. Oh, I got to stop the poll.
Oh, and then resume it, right?
Now I can edit.
That's it.
Add an option.
There we go.
Save and resume. There you go. It is back to being live with the 4th option. Seth said it works just fine typing the number by itself. It seems to be kind of collecting if you just type the number even in your sentence.
Oh, that's all you got to do is just type.
Yeah, like it looks like I think 1 or.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I think it's seeing the numerical.
There it goes. Yeah, it is. I see it. Yeah, it just worked. Okay, cool. All right, we'll leave that one up for a little bit, and then we're gonna. I guess we'll move over to our next story, folks. If you are brand new, come on in. Like I said, just your show. Come on.
Yeah, you guys can talk, ask questions.
Just disclosure. Ask your questions.
Throw your opinion.
Your opinions.
Like, what do you guys think? We obviously have the poll running, but like, let's get some of your actual opinions. We'll read them off here. Yeah,
we'll let this poll run for another 15 minutes or so, 10, 15 minutes. And I think we'll get a pretty good idea of what the general, our sample is saying, you know what I mean? Yeah. As far as it goes. But yeah, man, I mean, I think that to me, honestly, though, is kind of how disclosure is going to go. It's going to be mixed. It's going to have that sprinkle of like this somewhere in between, right? In there. And I think it's going to be up to us to figure out what that is. I really don't think they're going to come out and say it's 100% this.
Just wanted to let you know that it says, Joe, just wanted to let you know that my dad is watching with me tonight for a little bit. He says, hello. What's going on, brother? I miss you guys. Good to hear from you. Barry is one of my favorite human beings on the planet. So when we're looking at all this information, you know, so what was shared last week, and we talked about that, like with the forced breeding
Oh
program.
yeah.
Like, I think that is so absurd and
Yeah.
outlandish because the position at which it was coming from was almost like a spin on what all the conspiracy stuff has been, saying that, like,
Yeah.
we were being placed into a breeding program with the aliens through abduction.
Right.
Now this is like we're forcing them into a breeding program so that we can create hybrids to control their stuff. And like, that just doesn't, none of that really
No.
sits well.
That
if we're being
doesn't.
completely
That
honest.
doesn't. But what would, here's the truth of the matter, could be this though. And which one do you not want them to look at? Do you not want them to look at the absurd possibility that they can laugh off? Or do you want them not to look at the possibility that you've been using psionic assets who may be underage?
Yeah.
I mean, they're still be getting paid, you know, and taken care of, but still, like we showed with the GATE program and so
I was going
forth.
to say the GATE program is a prime example.
Exactly. So, and you know, what was the study they did with the autistic kids? What's it called? I can't remember the name of it now.
That is the telepathy tapes.
Yeah, the telepathy tapes. There you go. I mean, so there could definitely be some truth to that. And maybe, just maybe, it's easier for us to say, oh, we had some kind of, we were abducting aliens and, you know, trying to create a human hybrids. No, you probably weren't doing that.
Like, it just doesn't seem.
Do you honestly think that you're going to get that close to one of these things if they don't want you to get close to them?
Yeah, that is just, to me, that whole that spin last week, and even if you watch the video, he's laughing about it when he's saying it,
right? Like, he doesn't believe it.
There's like a large amount of disbelief, even with what he's saying himself.
Yeah.
But he's just needing attention. And
Well, he's
guess
like,
what that gave him?
I think it's what they gave him.
It gave him everyone's eyes for 15 more minutes.
Yeah, it did. But, you know, it's also what they gave him. Like, here's a briefing document.
Yeah.
Read this. I would have been like, no, I'd rather not.
Right.
I'm not. No, we're not talking. No, we're not doing this. I mean, there has to be a point when you have to have some responsibility to say, I am not going to be a part of this.
So, yeah.
Directly or indirectly. But anyway, sorry that took so long, but I think I got quite a bit of responses out of that, actually.
We did.
So
everybody, I think a lot of them switched their answers, and I watched the poll change from like ones, because it was keeping track of people that had voted 1 and then switched to 4, and now it's like somewhere in between is where everybody's sitting, which is honestly, that's the smart place to set.
Oh, I think so. I mean, literally, that's the lie sandwich.
I can't think you get too close, amateur UFOs and aliens. You know, we're dealing with something here that in a lot of ways can disrupt a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
Primarily the industry sector.
Mm-hmm.
Like when it comes to industry as a whole and energy.
Yeah.
You now technically would have a truly unlimited power source.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to get into that a little bit later, but we've already talked about this. I mean, they're already talking about the possibility that they pretty much cracked cold fusion. At least they're saying that they have. I mean, I don't know yet. You know, it's no one's
they're presenting. They're able to generate 5 volts.
Right.
They've cracked it. In my opinion, they've cracked because it doesn't generate heat. It's not warming up. It's actually cool to the touch. They cracked it.
It's a start.
They have 5 volts. Is 5 volts going to do a whole lot? Not unless you strap a bunch of them together.
I mean, you know, I don't know. It's
but
hard to
like
say.
Voltron, the more you put together, the better it gets.
Right. Exactly. Take us presentation. We got some stuff for you to read. So this happened as well this week.
Yes, Congress demands Pentagon release 46 UFO videos. Republican Representative Anna Paulina Luna has formally requested that the U.S. Secretary of War hand over 46 specific unidentified anomalous phenomena videos, also known as UAP videos. This includes military recorded encounters with spherical, cigar-shaped, tic-tac like objects over conflict zones, oceans, and restricted airspace. Luna chairs the House Federal Secrets Task Force, which is investigating UAPs and declassifying records and protecting whistleblowers. Why would these lawmakers say the videos matter for national security?
Isn't that a good question? I mean,
which
really?
I have an answer for one of those. So the deadline issued for UFO videos as Congress warns of a very real threat to the U.S. Jen, thank you. Much appreciated.
Thank you.
We really appreciate it. Literally anything you guys throw at us.
4 to go.
Dial 1-800-DISCLOSURE now.
Oh God, don't do that. I don't know what that is.
Man, that's fun. But
oh my goodness.
Now here's something that this is an answer I can give you guys, and I talked to Ron about this, and I'm comfortable saying it on the air.
Do we have to take you into a skiff first?
Yeah, I don't think. I don't think we need to, because I think that this is just an educated thought.
Okay.
I don't think we could get in trouble for saying this.
All right, go ahead.
There's a really good possibility that some of these sensors that are capturing some of the UAP data that have been shown in the skiffs, the camera is classified. The cameras itself, the sensors themselves are classified, and whatever type of data that's being don't want anyone to know that we can collect it. For example, one version of that technology was just released this week when they were talking about the pilot that was rescued.
Yeah.
They found him from his heartbeat.
Yeah. And we're not going to talk about how that works because it's just theory, and I don't want to give anyone any ideas because I got a pretty good idea how it works.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that. But here's the thing. We do have some crazy technology. Okay. And some of those sensor platforms, yeah, probably are. And you're right, Joe, because they actually did say that today. That's one of the pushbacks.
They said it today.
Yeah. Is that, yeah, they did. They said
that. This conversation, by the way, last week.
Yeah, they did admit it today. They said that was one of the pushbacks, was that the videos and the images themselves were not the real thing here. That was holding it back. It was the sensor platforms. Yeah, exactly.
I had a feeling, man,
makes perfect sense.
The way so much of this stuff is compartmentalized, it's not so much what you're seeing as much as it is the platform you're seeing it on. We don't want people to know we have. Right. Because, the Grays may come back and take it. Anyway, Joe, the poll says, by the way, was this actual official disclosure? 14% said yes. 29% said no, but an incredible margin of 57% says it's somewhere in between yes and no, which is the lie sandwich. That's how it works. That was an absolutely awesome one. So I'm going to discontinue this one. We're going to pop up a new one for you. All right, Joe, the next, go ahead and read that. Brenda Ratliff, thank you for barbecue. Yeah,
always for barbecue.
You got it.
And for you folks who haven't tasted the barbecue with the Indrid cold slaw, oh my God, you're in for a treat. That's all I can say about that. Yep. You're in for a treat. All right, Joseph.
Presentation mode, we're there.
Uh-huh.
You got a video?
I am going to put up the other part of this this article for you.
Oh, okay.
And it will be number 3. It's right here. Here we go.
All right. Some clips reportedly captured UAP formations near Iran and Syria. Mm-hmm. Incidents near U.S. bases and airports. Even a 2023 shoot down over Lake Huron, which we've all been asking what happened to the Lake Huron UAP. Because literally it just went silent. After it hit the water, they're like, oh, we can't find it. Well, by this, it kind of sounds like they did. Lawmakers said that the footage could reveal patterns of activity near sensitive military sites and help determine whether the objects pose national security risk. The lack of disclosure regarding the very real threat posed by UAPs in and around restricted airspace is concerning, Luna said in a statement. The task force has found responses from Aero when questioned about the UAP sightings and provided Luna with less than adequate information. The presence of UAPs in and around the sensitive airspace of U.S. military installations pose a threat to the security of the armed forces and their readiness. If you want my honest opinion, if it truly posed a threat, no, it wouldn't. Because we would no longer be on the table. We would no longer be of any concern if it truly was a threat. Skinner, did someone say barbecue?
They did.
Yeah,
They did.
That's what's on the menu for next week's meeting in South Charleston, West Virginia at the Union Hall, where we will be gathering. It's going to be a great time. The address is over on the group page. Here is another link for those of you who are just joining the party. Here's another, just copy paste this into your browser. It'll take you straight to the event page.
I'm going to start the other poll, and it is exactly what you said. Folks, do you think that the phenomena, aliens, UFOs, etc., is an actual threat to humanity? I think that that's a pretty good one. So let's go and start that one.
But it could be 3. I'm a 3. I'm going with 3.
I'm totally a 3, and I'm going to tell you why I'm a 3 later. Okay. So let's see. I've got the other part of this.
You're the first ones in.
Yeah. Let's see. What was that? That was number 4. Was that 4? 3. That was 3. Okay. So 4 is the other part of the deadline article you're reading. And I want you to understand a little bit about this. So we're going to talk about this a little bit because it's going to feed into what the next clip is. And you might see a pattern or something for me. Just watch it and see.
Luna released the letter on Wednesday saying the continued lack of transparency surrounding these anomalies and the potential national security threat they pose is troubling. She added that the task force held a hearing on September 9th, 2025 to discuss those concerns. Whistleblowers informed the task force that Aero possesses additional video records of potential UAP sightings. To continue its investigation, the task force requested certain video files related to the sightings be undisclosed.
There's Aero again, right? Which, they kind of come into this a lot.
Well, here's the beautiful part about the whole Aero thing.
We'll get to that. Yeah, that's
the last week and a half. It seems to be that this Aero is getting ready to be thrown out of the quiver.
It does appear that way. It absolutely does appear that way.
Yeah. But now here's the kicker. Right now, Aero is helping to determine what is and isn't classified. Yeah. Now this is going to fall back onto the DNI and the DOW.
Yeah.
They're going to be the ones that make the decisions on that, and she is not going to have the pushback on them.
No,
that she's going to have on Aero. I think that is one of the primary issues with getting rid of Aero.
Yeah,
which all for. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
They're swamp gas 2.0.
100%.
But at the same time, it is the deal with the devil you know versus the devil you don't.
You're not wrong. So here's the thing. They have this deadline, right? And it's got to be, X amount of time, and you got to release these 46 files, and everybody's like, oh my God, we're finally going to get something, et cetera, et cetera. But look, man, I want you to see this. There was another deadline. Can you read that headline for me and then read the date, please, Joe?
Yes. U.S. has secret evidence of U.S. UFOs breaking the sound barrier without a sonic boom and performing moves humans don't have the technology for, says Trump Director of National Intelligence. The date is 21 March 21.
Yeah. 2021. So hang on. I'll get another one for you. So this was the first time that we heard that kind of stuff. And look, there it is, March 2021.
March 2021, March 19th of 20. This was 2 days prior to that article. Usually we have multiple sensors that are picking up these things. There are actually quite a few more that have been made public. And this is right around the time that we started compiling our collection of sensors ourselves.
It is actually. Yeah.
And putting them to use.
Mm-hmm. No, it really is.
We figured out that multiple sensor data was the key.
Oh, it's 100% the key.
And
but look, deadline. See right there? Deadline for Pentagon to disclose UFO report draws closer. So again, wait, there's more, because it happened again after this. So this was from 2023. Here you go, Joe. Look at that one.
Exclusive. Retired U.S. Army colonel says secret UFO project should be made public by October 2030 to beat America's rivals and get ahead of catastrophic leak. Speaking of catastrophic leaks, I don't know if you saw today's news, Ron. Today it was broke officially that the supercomputer bank ran by the Chinese government was hacked. And all of its secrets are being sold, and the tech officials that are looking at this are saying it's legit.
Wow.
The UFO, I just looked. I got squirrely.
Yeah.
If you want their UFO records, we need to save a whole lot more money. Because it's all for sale by piecemeal. Right.
Unbelievable.
And the UFO documents are, I think it was today, they were wanting $750,000.
I think we could do that
to get all of the UFO documents.
Do not send us $750,000. I'm just going to tell you that right now.
I do not want to be in that tax bracket. I'm doing everything we can to stay
We are not
under
doing that. No,
we're nowhere near it. But like,
why we got to give stuff away, guys. So we're not doing that anyway.
Yes, GoDot. It was 10 petabytes.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
No, that's a lot. That is a lot of friggin' data. So here, anyway, this happened in 2023, guys. This is my whole point. All right. It happened in 2021, happened in 2023. The most explosive moment, the UFO event. This was from when they did the whole Soul Foundation thing. You remember that? That's pretty much when Gary came out and said, hey, yeah, they're real. I'm 100% certain. Remember that? So this has all literally happened. It has happened. And I think that that's the part of it that we don't get. That's where it started. And we're coming up to where it's going to go. Now, what that means, in my opinion, is that everything that all those people in those rooms have seen at this point is probably what we're going to get to see. In other words, it's not new. And you may have already seen some of it. I mean, it was probably on Corbell, to be honest. It's probably on Weaponized.
Well, it's
just going to be better footage.
It's better versions of it,
right,
or very similar stuff.
Yep.
Eggleston says, this is what disclosure is going to look like. We aren't going to get any important details if they have them. They're national security secrets. And if they don't, there's nothing to reveal.
Yep.
Now, the crazy thing is going to be what happens during catastrophic disclosure.
Right. And I think that's what they're trying to head off. You know this.
Well, I mean, by the sound of it, Iski's on the nose here. By 2030.
Yeah.
I think that 2030 deadline wasn't so much are they dumb enough to think we already know, but I think 2030 things might be unavoidable at that point.
Right.
There might be something coming in 2029 or 2031 that might completely derail any attempts at trying to hide this stuff, in which point that could lead to true ontological shock.
Yeah.
Like right now, I think I agree with some of these talking heads that are out there in the community that are saying if we give them at least the data now, they can digest it.
Right.
It won't cause shock. It
Right.
will actually, in some ways, reaffirm certain ideas, and it might comfort others.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
if we wait until day X,
then we're in trouble.
When the proverbial crap goes through the fan. Hellbent Holler, what's up? Good evening, Wild and Weird Nation. Right back at you. Hellbent Holler and all the Hellbenders out there. We appreciate you guys for jumping on. Joe, hope you're doing well. We need to get together. We need to we got some planning to do, my friend.
Yeah. Definitely. Well, Joe, the results of this poll are just absolutely phenomenal. I mean, this is it's a landslide. If I've ever seen a landslide.
Oh yeah, it really is.
That's literally 100% vote for is the phenomena, aliens, UFOs, etc., an actual threat to humanity? 1, yes, 0. 2, no, 0. 3, but it could be. 100%.
100%.
100% agree that yes, it absolutely could be. Folks, absolutely. And again, how you vote is you just put the number in and it'll do the rest for you. So we're going to stop that poll and we're going to get to our next part of this, which is
real quick. Seth made a comment here and said, I predicted that some of the new tech would be announced during the rescue of the downed pilots. It reminds me of the stealth aircraft being released publicly during the Gulf War.
Yeah. 117 was released during the Gulf War. The B-2 was released.
We miss you too, Joe and Jesse. I was wearing your hat today at the Capitol for work.
Did you feel adventurous?
I did.
Yeah.
I did.
That's good. That's good. Okay.
It stays in my office. Like everybody asks me, it's like, oh, what's that? They see the black on the orange and it is real eye catchy. And they're like, Hellbent Hall, what is that? And then I get to tell everybody about you guys.
What is that? Yeah. Well, I don't know. Go listen and watch and you'll figure it out really quick.
Seth said, I think more U.S. tech will be released publicly in conjunction with UAP disclosure. I think they go hand in hand. Oh, it's going to have to.
Oh, yeah.
That's right. It is the official Joe Purdue edition hat that's size XXXXXXXXXXXXXL.
Yes, that's 100%. That's true.
It really is.
Literally one of a kind right there. So let's wrap up the news, Joe, and let's get into this program.
Let's do it media mode.
Yeah. Well, no, you gotta end the news. We gotta do this official.
And media.
Folks, okay, that's the news. All right. So we're just right, this is live. What do you want? It's live.
Right?
Anything can happen.
So it used to be, just so you guys know what happened, I accidentally cut that clip short because when I transitioned us into the new format in the new dashboard system, I can't just change it without ending a video. I used to be able to edit those things, so when we came back up on the screen, we were back where we wanted to be.
Oh yeah. That's true. And now you can't.
You can't do that.
Can't do that.
We might be able to do if we do it the hard way, but I can't use the screens. I can't.
We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out eventually. All right, take us presentation mode. We got a lot to talk about, and one of the greatest things that we're going to be talking about, I think. Anyway, I know there's a lot of people who don't like the man. But old Bob was back in the news, man. And
Bob's back in the news, and for better or for worse, the documentary's out.
Yep.
I think it's a good thing. Ron, what do you think?
I love it. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I know there's a lot of people like, oh, it's a blah blah. It's like $20 or something. Don't waste your money. No, if you like this story, that's the price of a book. Okay. There's nothing wrong with it. It's great. I love it. I love it for multiple reasons. I love it because it was done in 3D, not in AI, but in 3D, literal modeled, just like I do my stuff. And I was amazed just because.
Good point, Trackway. Bob who?
Bob Lazar. I was amazed at just because of some of the, the lighting and whatnot that was in there. Remember this? Yeah. The one that got, they took a picture of
the real deal.
Wright Patterson. No, they didn't. And that's the same technology that was used to make this movie. And it's really amazing, in my opinion. But we're not gonna show any clips from the movie. Don't worry, I'm not spoiling that for you. But we are gonna talk about some stuff. And
Gary says full disclosure of a new blessing.
Oh, did we hit it? Did we hit it? Did we hit it?
Yeah. Oh yeah, we hit it.
Oh God, yeah. All right. Well, you know what? This is appropriate, but and
What
I swear
in
to
the
you,
world did you see?
what? What?
Ike sent a video. Go to Facebook Messenger. That's not FAA lighting.
Mm.
What in the world? Sorry about this. Welcome to the live show, guys. Ike, holy crap. Ike's in Jersey right now.
What is that?
Look at it.
Oh, I'm
The
looking
lights
at it.
blinking and they're blinking at the same time. There's no sequence. It's just
Yeah,
all
I
on,
see
all
that.
off.
I see that. Check with him and see if it's okay if we show this.
Ike, you care if we show this, brother? I know you're watching right now.
And if not, we can look at it.
I mean, if it come on, guys, don't tease us like that.
No, for real. We have to get permission. We can't.
Permission first, because this is Ike's footage. He just got this. We do it the right way.
It's interesting, is what it is.
It looks. It could be a really freaking big drone, but I still would
be.
expect the lights to be in a sequence. Not
My guess
all
would
on.
be, well, that can happen, but it usually means something. Yeah, it's kind of weird. I don't see any other strobe patterns.
That's Greg Newkirk level teasing. Don't no.
Maybe we can at least get a permission to show a still. That would be good if we could do that. Did you message him?
I messaged him. I'm waiting to
Okay,
hear
cool.
back.
All right, cool. Well, till we hear back, Joe, I made a very, very, very special new blessing for tonight, just for tonight's show. But we'll show it in the future too. But I was really inspired lately about that, the S4 movie, right? And how they use Blender, which is our primary thing. And we made the sports model several years ago. Our version.
Oh yeah, we've been manufacturing the sport model and selling it on the table since 2018.
It's out there.
We debuted it at the 2018 Mothman Festival, and it's been
Yeah.
on the table ever since in a couple of different versions.
Yeah, it's out there. But the point being, the one that we cast is literally the 3D version of a model that I made, and I wanted to see how close we could get to that same kind of image. Well, you saw it in the thumbnail, but it moves. So go ahead and hit that.
Here you go, folks.
Like that.
Your blessing has been redacted.
Sorry, folks. There's nothing I can do about that.
Oh, that's great.
That's just how it is. I'm sorry. Do you really think we're going to give you a blessing from S4? Come on. It doesn't exist. Okay. Well, anyway,
man,
it's been redacted. Anyway, let's look at some of these clips until we figure out what's going on with that. Okay.
All right, here we
Back
go.
presentation mode, and let's they're not in any real particular order, so I just have them kind of in here, and I'm going to try not to repeat them. That's my goal for you guys.
Everybody likes the sport model, guys.
Well, thank you. That what was really cool about it was ours was really close, by the way, because it's modeled off the one from the tester's kit. That's
the old tester kit.
Modeled it for. Yeah, and so it was to scale. But what was really neat was I went in and I punched in the exact dimensions that they used on this one, because they said in the film how big it literally was, And I punched them in. And when I did that, all the lighting changed. And I'm like, oh my God, it looks amazing. Like the silver looks silver. It's reflecting the desert underneath. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like, this is awesome. So yeah, I wanted to do one in full size. So that's a 52 and whatever. I forget how big it was, 51 or 52. I don't remember. Foot disc is what that was. So very cool. Anyway, let me fire this thing up. I've seemed to have lost it. Bear with me. Radio show. It is live. Remember, that's how it works.
It is a live show, folks. Hang tight.
Weird things happen. Sometimes. Okay, I got it. We're good.
Okay.
And look, it's in a folder called Bob. Imagine that. All right. So what's really cool is he was on Rogan for the second time. Just the second one. But the first one literally blew up. I mean, that was a big deal when Bob was on there the first time, right? Highest rated Joe Rogan show in history.
It's most viewed in history, which inadvertently makes it the most viewed video on the internet in history. Which is crazy if you really think about it. Yeah.
So he comes back and they're on there, before the launch of S4, the Bob Lazar story, the new documentary. And so I got some clips from that and we're going to be looking at it. But I love this. This is the program goals as told by Bob. This is what he said the goals were. I want you to pay attention to what the goals were. And I want you to think about what we've been talking about up to this point.
Just went in the first time I went in through the hangar door instead of around the back, slid my hand across it, saw the American flag, and I thought, oh my God, this explains the UFO nuts.
It's ours.
Yeah, this is ours. This is a new top secret fighter. We came up with a new propulsion system, and it explains everything, because I never believed in flying saucers. I thought people were nuts. But when they started reviewing everything with me, I was trying to replace somebody, or they were trying to use me to replace somebody as quick as possible. And they had two directives. Directive one was to duplicate the technology with available material at any cost, which is exact verbatim what it was. And directive two was to be able to disable this technology at a distance at any cost.
Right there. Option 2. Disable this technology at a distance at any cost. That was the priority. Think about that for a second in light of what we know at this point about some of these the other whistleblowers who have come forward. Look at Jacobs. What did he say? Like, all these folks are kind of saying the same kind of things, right?
Yeah.
So, the goal is to understand them and then understand how to disable them. Well, why would we want to disable them, Joe?
Well, the reason we want to disable it is if it was something that was inbound, something that was potentially adversarial, or something that we wanted to get more of, meaning that it wasn't ours and we needed to take it from someone else.
That one, possibly that one, because maybe they found, I don't know, other ones and wanted to know how it worked. I mean, they were desperate to figure this out, obviously. But it was so compartmentalized. He talks about that as well. So here's that clip.
The metallurgy group is the one that we really wanted to hear from. And some of the group, I don't even know what some of the other groups were. But
how many groups were there?
I don't know. There were only 22 people there total, including myself.
There's your number. So as you can see, this compartmentalization, there's 20 some people and no one really knows what the other person's really doing. And, they can't really talk about it.
It is, the low number is also another way that you can keep things more under wraps, not just compartmentalized.
Yeah,
far more controlled.
Way more controlled.
Well, you guys remember I had a friend that worked at Area 51 for several years.
Yeah.
And of course, she couldn't tell me anything, but the only thing she could tell me is the compartmentalization. Exactly. She said they worked on stuff there that she had no idea what other teams were doing. Now, she says she did not work on anything, that we're talking about. It was more mundane stuff, but still yet extremely compartmentalized. So you can imagine.
Yeah. Well, you also have to remember, these folks are, come on, man, these programs, we've showed you, we're showing you right now, disinformation is a real thing. Okay. So you have to think about that when you're into these things. And I think Bob even talks about that eventually, where he goes into that, where, you just don't know. Sure, they showed me this, they told me that, but is that true? I don't know. Hey, Ash.
Ashley, good to see you. LR says, so there's 19 other people screaming, Lazar, would you shut the up? Right?
Yeah, right. No, it's true. It's true, actually. Here's the other clip.
The actual skin of the craft, because everything looked like it was made from the same material. And I wanted some information about the skin, the superstructure of the craft. And they said, no, that's restricted. We need a reason for you to, I just want to see if everything is exactly the same material. And what I call the seats in the craft, I still don't know if they're the seats, but they might be. I think it'd be hilarious if they were actually something else. But I wanted some information on those, and that was restricted information too. There were other groups working on that. So they compartmentalized stuff so much. There was no exchange of information between any group.
Yeah, there was no exchange. That is 100% about compartmentalization. And Booker brings up the best part of this is that it's harder to flip someone if they only know part 1 of 22 parts.
Bingo.
That's exactly what it is.
Bingo.
Seth says, I think the fact that Lazar doesn't claim to know everything about this makes his story more believable, and he never has claimed to know the full workings, ins and outs.
No.
He only knows parts of it.
Oh, he admits that. I mean, that's the whole thing, and the rest is pretty much speculation. But there's been a lot that's been put on him over the years. Bob said this, Bob said that. I mean, okay, look, I remember the whole thing, how he came about. The first time I saw him was on sightings. I followed that story from that point, forward. I watched him go from this guy who believed that, coming forward, you could change things, to just disappearing. And what most people don't know is before Bob disappeared, he was on a forum. I don't remember what forum it was back in the day where you actually type on his forums. And he got on there and it was talking about how he believed that the technology of the internet was going to be such a great thing. It was going to help people to share stuff. And this is where that's coming from, I'm sure. Like his whole belief that, if we could just talk amongst ourselves, we could figure things out. And he was there during the very beginning of what would become social media, and he saw where it was going, and he said it was the worst thing that could ever happen. And that's before he knew about AI. But I mean, he called that right. But that's when he kind of disappeared, and he did. He disappeared forever until later on, and his story kind of resurfaced to a whole new generation.
Ashley says, my only gripe with Lazar is that he has never named names. Has he? And why not? One guy, Barry. And we don't even know his real name. We just know that he calls him Barry.
Barry and Dennis, actually. That's
Dennis, I thought, was his alias.
Dennis was his supervisor. That's the one.
Okay, so he just used Dennis's name.
That's why they got mad at him. Yeah, that was one of the things.
That was dumb.
That was beyond. Yeah. No, I'm not really sure why he did that. I'm not even sure why he did that.
Was just an alias he gave himself.
No,
calling yourself after your. Yeah, that is so dumb.
Yeah,
you've been like, my name's Rick.
Yeah. This is one of the issues, man. Like, I don't think he really realized how serious it was back then, and I don't think he really had a clue that you're messing with stuff that is gonna, we'll take you out if we have to. And I think that didn't really cross his mind until it did. And he knew he went too far at that point.
we new guys out there, we're probably freaking out poor old Rick Skinner on here because I mentioned Skinner from X-Files. Now you all say Rick now, so he's going to be thinking there's some kind of thing going on here.
Yeah, we're just going to show up. We're gonna use like a Murphy door.
Yeah.
And pop out from behind his library wall and be like, "What's up, Skinner?"
Right. There you go.
Men in Black, 3 of us at Rick Skinner's front door.
Yeah. Apparently, it was George's idea before the first interview was to use the name Dennis.
Is that who came up with the name? That's just unreal.
Then, Knapp and Lear were who introduced. Introduced him to Art Bell. The Lear, man. We need to do a whole episode dedicated to John Lear.
Yeah.
At some point, that would be a fun.
I think that for you folks who didn't see this, please do go watch the Joe Rogan experience, the last one with Bob on it. There, he has a great little segment where he talks about John and how John, came over to his house and crashed on his couch a few times. But he talks about how John would just believe literally anything.
Yeah,
like he put it all in the same bucket. He didn't have a filter. He just and that's why a lot of the things that you hear in these circles today, they had their origin kind of in that era. John kind of breathes a little bit of truth into him because here he is. He's a respected guy saying this stuff, right?
Oh, absolutely.
And the owls and aliens. Thank you.
He is a very highly respected guy. He had national security clearances. Oh. He had national security contracts. He had technology contracts. He was a very well liked guy overall. Very eccentric.
Seth, I don't remember that part at all. That's the crazy thing. I'll have to go back and watch it again.
Yeah, Seth said it was mentioned in the new S4 documentary that George wanted to use the name specifically.
Hilarious. That whole part with George in this new documentary, in my opinion, was really, that was cool. That was something right there.
Godot says the disclosure, the whole scenario of Lazar was based on his friendship with John Lear. You'll never figure out the rest. No one has except me.
And we have, let's see what's the next one we got here. Oh, yeah, this is pretty good presentation. Yeah.
You got it.
Yeah. Never showed me anything. I speak to Luigi, a couple times a month, and he'd always say, you oh my God, you won't believe this. I said, yeah, show me. No, it's not done yet. So I really didn't get it to see anything till close to the end. But when I did, really, without trying to sound dramatic, it really put tears in my eyes, going that's it. That's it. You did it. Just stop. It's perfect.
Well, I had the pleasure of watching the movie with you and sitting there with you. There was a bunch of times in the movie you're like,
yeah.
Like you could tell.
Yeah.
That it's just
I swear I could feel that place. I could feel it watching that movie. It really freaks me out because, as I've said before, it's not like what I saw. It's exactly what I saw.
So that's some pretty high praise, I think, as far as it goes with the recreation of the
absolutely,
the place and so forth, right? Which is just it really is. It's fantastic. I mean, just right down to the lighting. It was amazing. And let's see. Here's the part where he talks about the craft. This was a neat little segment.
And the waveguides that hold the emitters, they come down and the emitters can turn and bend, and the pipes bend, and nothing changes in them. And there's no wires or anything to make the pipe bend. I'm trying to relate it to something, but I can't think of anything to relate it to.
Well, one thing that you said that I also thought was fascinating, there's no seams. So everything looks like it's 3D printed.
Again, right. It comes down to the material.
Which at the time, 3D printers weren't real, right?
At the time that really confused me. I said, how did they build this? It must have been built out of wax or something and then melted. Because you can't build anything without seams. And then 3D printing came into existence, and you could build stuff from layers up.
Yeah. And, we hear the same thing about the Kecksburg craft, that it was another seamless material, another craft with the weird material. So, yeah, I mean, this seems to be a kind of a theme that's going on. Let's see. Oh, the emitters. Yeah. And I actually did another little thing for you guys. They don't really show the emitters a lot in this. You see like a couple of little shots, but I created a little bit so you can kind of see it a little bit better in what those things look like as he's describing them here. So
happening in the emitter. Did you study the emitter?
Well, we attempted to, but no. There was nothing that we really came up with that.
What does it look like? Like, what's the internal structure of it?
It's a hollow pipe with, I guess, little copper-colored plates all inside. It's kind of in the film.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, these guys have been working on it for years before I got there, and there was really no concept of what they were doing.
Well, they're working with something that, I mean, it's truly, if it's real, it's an alien component. You don't know how it works. You don't know what it does.
So Seth brings up, says, how long do you guys think the government had the sports model before Bob came around?
Bob guessed that it was probably the 60s.
It would have had to have been, in my opinion, and here's why I say that. The superstructure that housed this thing couldn't have been built overnight. The U.S. military and some of our best engineers can go in and they can erect a tent city with hard structure, but we can't do that overnight. We can do it really quick. We can do it really fast, scary fast, but not overnight, not in a 5-year time frame.
Yeah.
It takes forever just to build a thickened hangar. There are hangars that exist out there that are low penetration hangars, meaning that if they're struck with a rocket, you've got 6 feet of concrete, 3 feet of steel, 6 more feet of concrete, followed by more reinforced mesh netting and more concrete. Those take forever to build.
Yeah.
And this, you're talking about an entire lab with the best scientific equipment that you could possibly get your hands on.
Yeah.
He came out in what year was it, Ron?
1989, but he was out there, I think he left it, in 88 or something. So
yeah,
I think it was 89 when he came out and said, this is
at
it.
least 15 years probably to construct and store this thing. Now, when did they get it? They could have had it in the God.
Yeah, who knows, right? Oh, we're going to get to where its origins are and how that goes.
Yeah, and we talked about the origins of it before on the show.
Well,
many moons ago.
We're going to talk about this. So we knew it was from an archaeological dig, but we didn't know exactly what the nature of that archaeological dig was. And that's very interesting and important. Let's see.
Some young up and comer is going to put the ethanol 85 in the sport model and will screw it up.
There you go. That's
it. Man, Enzo, what's
we
up,
wanted
brother?
to talk to the metallurgist people. The reactor that sits on the bottom of the craft has a little dome over it, and there's something that looks like a pipe that's slight. You can lift it up and take the reactor out, put the reactor in and lift it down. But like a antenna works on an old walkie-talkie.
Mm-hmm.
It has different sections.
There it is. There's from the video.
There it is. Yeah, okay. You can retract the pipe, but there's no sections and it doesn't get any thicker. It just becomes smaller. And if you look underneath, where the emitters hang down, they turn. It doesn't buckle. It's a magical material. This is this is the basis of the craft, is really the material that it's made of.
So you're talking about literally what he just said is what we see in a 3D environment. That's how we create things. We extrude things, it gets longer and then it gets shorter, but there's no push, you can't do that in 3D space, yet here it is. It's doing that material can do that, which is just absolutely bonkers to think about, because you're talking about, like he said, it's a magical material. We don't understand that.
Physics as we know it.
Yeah, it changes physics as we know it.
Properties.
But what's strange about this is the fact that the power plant itself, and he talks a little bit about that too.
As I'm gathering from you, is that this thing all worked as a cohesive unit.
Right. With no physical connection between, between the subsystems.
And all of it made out of the same material.
At least on the outside. It all made of the same material. And the other crafts all had the same power plant in them.
Think about that. So you want to think about that. That would kind of hint to the fact that you're dealing with something that has a centralized build. There's, kind of like we have cars, right? With engines. Well, everything's got an engine. Engines are different, but they all work the same. So it's kind of like that in that respect, if you think about it, which kind of takes out the magic, doesn't it?
To a degree.
I mean, it's still magic to us because we don't understand it.
It means that there's parts of our physics, parts of our some energy use or energy expenditure that we can translate and understand from what this craft does. But there are still so many other variables and properties to this thing that we can't wrap our minds around.
Yeah.
Well, the congressional hearings, they've already had, you guys will recall, they've had people come in there and say these things defy physics.
Yeah,
entirely.
Right. I mean,
we can't talk about Roswell. We also heard that in hearing too.
We can't talk about Roswell. Dave, what's wrong with you? Anyway, here's another one that he asked him about.
So element 115. Yeah. So you have it in this triangle shaped form. Did you ask how they got into a triangle shaped form? Was it made this? This is how it came
I'm
in the
sure
reactor?
I did, but I mean, it only worked like that. It worked like a stack of discs and had to be cut at a certain angle to work in the reactor. And
did they say they cut it, or did they say it was already cut?
Well, it was already cut, and they were duplicating it.
Pull that microphone up too.
Sure.
So they were duplicating it. Did they have more of it, this element?
Yeah, they had quite a bit of it. So either there was a quantity in other crafts or other reactors that they removed. Yeah.
But was there any discussion that there had been some sort of an exchange where they had been giving this?
No.
So one of the things...
No indication. That was a straight answer. I mean, flat answer right there. No, no indication. No one said that to him. So that wasn't part of the lore at that point, apparently, at least not at S4.
He's like, do you know Diana Pasulka is? She's an author that's written some interesting stuff about UFOs, and she's worked with Gary Nolan and, on material recollection from supposed crash sites. And she said that the way these researchers refer to these crafts, they refer to them as donations. And
I guess that's possible.
Right. Well, doesn't it make sense if this thing crashed, why is it perfect? Why is it not destroyed?
Look, I've heard so many. I'm not into UFOs.
Right.
As
Which
crazy
is hilarious.
as that. Yeah, that's crazy. I'm just interested in the technology, and I feel very privileged to have been involved in the project. But I don't know. I don't think there can be that many crashes. Do you?
No.
This advanced technology, you think they're coming to Earth and just there's a thunderstorm and they're crashing into the ground? I'm not buying that.
Yeah. See, that's one of the things. And what he just said there was like, that's an old, we can talk about Roswell, but
that was Aurora.
That's that old legend, right? That there was a crash out there.
Lightning struck it, and then it hit a windmill and crashed, and they buried the occupants.
Well, that's the Texas one. There's one from Roswell. There's a version of the Roswell story that started with a storm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that's part of that lore. He's right though. I mean, I can't see that either. I'm sorry. It's this stuff's that advanced, and a lightning bolt's gonna take it down. It's not like the DeLorean, I mean, maybe it is. Maybe it needs to have 1.2 gigawatts or whatever to do what it needs to do. I don't know.
Well, it's also possible that how much of science fiction has been derived by some of this stuff. There's obviously been some kind of leaks allegedly. It's how they say Star Trek got some of its information was from people involved with certain programs going and talking to certain folks.
Oh yeah.
What are the odds that these fuel cores, element 115, there's not like a compartment sitting somewhere with a bunch of these pre-made, ready to rock and roll, and cylinders that are already stacked of these discs that are ready to be cut when needed, and all right, we're running low on some juice, let's go hang out here for a minute, we'll change out the fuel cells and get everything up and running again, and then off we go.
Let's make sure to note too, though, is, like for those that might not be familiar with it, that element 115, when Bob Lazar talked about it originally, no one had ever heard of that. Like at first they were like, what are you talking about? And I can't remember how, Ronald, you probably remember how many years later after that did it came out. Oh, element 115. What wasn't it the CERN collider that discovered it, or I can't remember what it was now.
I can't remember. It was one of the, it might have been CERN. It was one of them, but Moscovium's what you're thinking about. And it's very short-lived. I mean, it's there and it's gone. It's not stable.
It's a blink of an eye, and then
it's not stable. But this is stable. Like he said, you can touch it, you can move it around. It's not apparently radioactive. I don't know, but it's definitely interesting. A little bit to the story, and it's always been one of the more fascinating parts to me. But here's the other clip that I'm really fascinated by.
Right. Like, what would be your questions for you if you met you?
Yeah. Now, questions for me are people that ask me over decades the same questions. Why is it the Navy? The Navy paid me. I always said everything has been the Navy instead of the Air Force because, back in the 60s and 70s, there's Project Bluebook and the Air Force and all that, but everything associated with this was the Navy. So, and in these days, you hear some of these new types of crafts that are
transmedium.
You hear the word transmedium, and David Fravor, Commander David Fravor, with the Tic Tac, and things are under the water, and supposedly the craft that the sport model was an archaeological recovery, and that itself was underwater. So what is the deal with the water?
What is the deal with the water, Joe?
Well, if we look back prior to the cataclysms, we talked about this last week on here. We've got several archaeological sites that have been uncovered by extreme drought and lowering water levels all along the coast of Africa, Spain, Norway, I think one in Finland, where we're finding these advanced remains, not just like a little stone hut or a small wood carvings. I'm talking about cut stone stacked bridges in areas that have never been on a map, that we don't have any idea what they are. We have no recollection in history that indicates that this bridge ever existed. So it means that it predated what was known about Spain.
Right.
we have these cities in concentric rings that have been discovered off the coast of Africa because of lowering water levels, exposing some, and then because the lowered clear water, the transparency has been made where you can see it from the surface. You can make out and see these other superstructures that indicate cities that were completely buried underwater.
Yeah.
So I think that could be part of why water is so
Why
important.
water, right? I mean, in the old legends that we've talked about, another one of my renderings there, that's the sports model. I wanted to see what it would look like, in its natural environment. And, could it have happened like that? I mean, could have. But what it reminded me of was more appropriately, and I made the image, those folks who saw it and didn't understand what we were talking about. That was from the book of the Hopi. That was the Hopi legend of the end of the third world and beginning of the fourth world. And literally what it's describing there is the emergence, which is the emergence of the people, the survivors from this catastrophic flood, this disaster that literally wiped away civilization. And what are some of the things that wiped away, Joe? What's there right there?
Well, one of the things that it wiped away was all the technological advancements and the flying shields.
The flying shields.
All the cities, all the things that they took their pride in.
Yeah. And you know what the thing about those shields were? Those flying shields? They could magically just appear over top of the adversarial country and wage war and then be gone instantaneously.
Yeah.
Oh, think about it just for a second. Just take your disbelief for 2 seconds. The whole, that can't be true. This is nonsense that I've seen so many people revolt to for whatever reason, or resort to. Sorry. Well, they do revolt to, but resort to. Yes, it could be true. Those old legends are there for a reason. And if we really did find this thing and it was an archaeological dig, my goodness, my interest in it would be just based on that. I don't care if it's extraterrestrial. I want to know the technology. I want to know what society. There was a technical society on this planet at one point, is what it points to. Doesn't matter to me where they're from. I'm more amazed at the technology itself, and I'm more concerned that may have something to do with the secret. And so is Bob, by the way. We'll get to those clips here in a second. That is part of the secret. One of those secrets that we don't want out. That's one of those national secrets, and probably for good reason.
Yeah,
quite honestly.
Well, it rewrites everything.
It rewrites everything, and it provides us with a means to do everything the exact same way again.
Yeah.
And probably end up in the exact same place again.
Did you guys go over Papoose Lake already?
No. Papoose Lake?
Yeah.
I don't.
I have a reason.
I don't think so.
It's coming up. I was just going to briefly bring that up and stuff too, because obviously I don't think we're trying to disprove or prove anything with Lazar at this point. But just I watched this. There's another YouTube channel. Got him. He goes by Uncanny Expeditions. It's a really cool channel. I think I've sent you guys some stuff on him. He goes and he lives in that area out there where E51 is and some of these places. And he'll go out there. I don't know how the camo dudes haven't taken him out, because he gets really close.
He knows what he can and can't do.
Yeah. He got to a recent episode. This guy, he's smart. He got to a recent episode. He actually climbed up to Mount Sterling, which is the only vantage point you have of Papoose Lake, which also has a vantage point of where, and Lazar's video for this S4, where it shows where the hangar bays supposedly are, where they show the, of course, this guy explained it as he thinks it could be pareidolia. But anyways, he actually was able to get the camera in. He stayed there during the daytime, but he didn't stay at nighttime. He's planning to go back at night, but he said, seeing garage door bays open.
Yeah, he's trying to see if he can catch the doors open.
He's a hardcore skeptic. He's still not completely happy that he, with Lazar, if he believes Lazar or not. He's still kind of on the fence with Lazar.
Well, my thing is, whether you believe Lazar or don't believe Lazar, you've got to explain some stuff if you don't believe Lazar. Someone fed him some stuff.
Yeah. Here's another point about
who did that.
Yeah. Well, those hangar doors. I had another thought about that. Okay, Lazar supposedly worked there in the it was the 80s. All right, they could have shut that down. Those doors could have been closed down for the past 20, 30 years for all we know.
We don't know.
And they might not even be using that section anymore.
I mean, Bob even says they may have moved the project. He doesn't know where it's at anymore. No one knows where it's at
because that place has gotten too popular.
Exactly. I don't think there's probably anything there anymore. But he does talk about them cutting into this reactor in this one part. And we knew this. This is not new or anything, but it's just interesting to hear for the folks who don't know. Take us back to presentation, Joseph. And it sets up our, the other part of this discussion.
They determined that this was the power source. And at some point, they decided to take that out to the nuclear test site because
there's a reason they took it to the nuclear test site.
They wanted to cut into it. They x-rayed it. They only found a small tube that went around it. They really couldn't determine how it worked or what was going on. So at some point, and Barry made this somewhat clear that they cut into the reactor while it was running, or while it was under load, I should say, and the reactor exploded. That's what killed or hurt the person that I replaced. But it produced the base gravitational wave or base energy that propelled the craft. That provided the craft the propulsion. I mean, when they removed it, the craft didn't work. When they put it in, every single other craft they found had something either exactly like it or similar to it. So they determined that was the power source. That's at the point that I was introduced into the project.
So again, we have the everything looks the same. Everything's working off of this same technology. This would imply to me that it is from the same possible species or same origin. What about you?
It does imply, I think, more to do with origin there.
Yeah. Here's the more interesting thing that I heard Bob say during this. I'm going to skip a couple things, but here's one of the more interesting things.
How is it affecting time, and how can we use that to our benefit to evolve faster?
They're talking about AI, by the way, and the whole thing of how we can use it, et cetera, and getting very excited about it, and then Bob interjects.
Because again, the faster we can compute, the faster we could do something, the faster we're evolving. And if we could lift that needle and bring it faster to get there, to get somewhere, why not use it?
Or should we be allowed to do that?
Us in our current form.
Yeah.
I'm right? Like I said, I'm not exactly on our side anymore.
Well, that was one of the. Do you remember, Jamie, who discussed the way they were describing the use of some of this alien technology as instantaneous weapon deployment systems?
Yeah. I'm not sure we should be trusted with this stuff.
Right?
Yeah.
No, really.
And right there it is. So, the instantaneous weapons delivery system, the ultimate, figured out at all costs. Why? To save the world, to help us figure out, this incredible power source? No, man. So we can wipe out somebody without them even knowing we were there.
Whoever controls the power controls the world.
It's not. No, it's kind of true. I mean, this is, he actually gives a couple of those, Dave. There's a couple of comments that he makes right here. Here, listen to this. I'll do this one, then we'll go to the next one.
Ability to travel through space. If whatever that thing is really does create some sort of a gravity bubble or some sort of a space-time bubble.
Yeah, but maybe it's not space. Maybe it's not space. Maybe it's time. Maybe it's another dimension. There's really no limits. If you can start manipulating physics in that way, you can bend time. You can open doorways into other dimensions.
Which literally leads us to this.
Unlimited budget. Yeah, I mean, if you're working like that, you could do anything. And
or at least anything that's currently possible with today's technology.
There you go.
Which therein lies the problem, is that they're dealing with something that's not possible with, like, you couldn't build it from scratch with American technology in 1989.
No, but that's what they wanted to do. And really thinking about that now, I'm not sure. I'm not exactly sure these guys should be allowed to do that. This is really powerful technology, and the world has really changed. I mean, we have a lot of crazy people doing stuff now, and nonsense transmits through the population at the speed of light. And, you know, I don't know. This can be a very powerful world-conquering technology. And look, for 40 years, I think I've said this before, for 40 years, all the people in control of this information have all agreed to keep it quiet. And these aren't idiots. These aren't idiots for 40 years. You have a line of people that all have agreed, no, let's not say anything. No, let's not say anything. No, let's not say anything. There has to be a reason why.
I mean, I don't think he's necessarily wrong. I got some more. Let's see, world-changing tech. See, I mean, he literally gave that multiple times. He said the same thing multiple times about that, which is very it's very interesting, because he's really second guessing himself at this point. If he should have even came forward, because, you know, maybe it shouldn't be told. That's the way he sees it. Maybe it should have been kept quiet, you know. It's crazy, but yeah, everything is science fiction until it's real. You're 100% right. That's so true. Absolutely. I'm going to go skip these other ones, because that's pretty much the same thing he says there. He just gives more warnings. He did mention the container thing, Joe.
Oh,
he did mention the container thing, and I do have that clip. And that's a very often quoted thing. Bob Lazar says that, you know, we're basically soul containers, and, you know, that's all the aliens use us for. But in his own words, here's how he looks at it.
Weirder things about some of the documents that you had at least been alerted to when you were on the base, and one of them being that humans are containers.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
which the likely conclusion is containers of souls. If a soul is a real thing, whatever
that's what you would think,
right? I mean, that's what I thought.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
it's just a guess.
I would prefer to believe that that's not true. But maybe it is. I don't know. As Barry said, you know, they mix absolute nonsense in there. So and it's unique to each person. So if you give out any information and they go, we heard some stuff about soul catchers. Oh, we know that came from Lazar. You know, so that's just a way where they can direct where it came to.
How about that?
That is a very, very slick way to do that.
Isn't it, though? Like, that's pretty smart.
I mean, I can't say that I have not done that to people as their employer before.
Yeah.
Just to see where things would go. But yeah.
What's interesting. I'm sorry, Joe.
No, you're good, Dave.
Go ahead, Dave.
No, it's interesting because I'm trying to remember what the guy's name was. I don't think it was our favorite person, Bledsoe, but I remember I was watching a show earlier this week. It was on YouTube. And I swear I think it was a remote viewer type person who claimed to be a remote viewer who said that, mentioning the soul containers, that when we die, basically, these beings are waiting for us, and when we die, they capture our spirits.
That's Lear. That's Lear. That's the soul catchers.
Okay.
That's
Yeah,
the soul catcher stuff. He
There was
believed
another
that
person who said the same thing.
it's the
That's what-
archons,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Isn't that it, Joe?
Yeah,
That's
that was it. Yeah, the archons.
Yeah, that's where that came from. You're 100% right, Dave. That was that's where that came from. You're not
He's not the
wrong.
only one who has said that either, but I guess they probably got it from him.
Sure, they're
Maybe.
just quoting the same thing over and over
Yep.
again. This is the problem with a lot
Yeah.
of this stuff. You know, that's our issue. And when someone says they remote viewed this and they remote viewed that, it's like, you know what? I mean, I don't know if you did or didn't. I've remote viewed stuff, but can I tell you 100% that was true? That was real? Only one thing that I know that blew my socks off. Well, two things. First, out of body experience, and then the confirmation when I read about McMoneagle and Mars.
Yeah.
That blew my socks off because, yeah, that's something. And you know what? Leads right up into this, actually. Takes us back to the presentation mode. I've got 1, 2.
Okay, we'll get to your all's questions here as soon
We're
as
gonna
these
we're gonna
videos are-
cut off these and get to your questions.
Weirder things about. Well, there, you know, all these people that believe that there was a incredibly advanced civilization before some sort of apocalyptic disaster that reset civilization, and it took thousands of years. And what we are essentially is not the first advanced civilization, but a rebuild.
Yeah.
A rebuild. Thousands and thousands and thousands of years later. If you're dealing with people that were basically knocked back into the Stone Age 11,000, 12,000 years ago, and it took us forever to rebuild to where we are now, I think we've gone down a completely different path than whatever the people that were able to build the pyramids of Egypt and all these fantastic megalithic structures where we don't understand. Archaeologists are very reluctant to admit it, but there's tremendous evidence that not only were these people far more advanced than we think people should have been back then, but they're probably more advanced than we are now with some different kind of technology.
And maybe again, it's like advanced, but in a different way.
Right.
Because
yes,
otherwise,
a different pathway.
Yeah.
They didn't go
our way.
Yeah, they didn't go internal combustion engine and electronics.
Because we would see something.
Exactly.
Right.
But might not. If you're thinking about 100,000 years ago, there might not be anything left, which is part of the problem.
Right.
But whatever this metallic object is, if they are able to figure out a way to divert some of the water there, so all layers converge at a central corridor or avenue, he said, like the atrium of a shopping mall, where you can see all floors from one vantage point. A hall consisting of a massive space, 40 meters wide and no less than 100 meters long. My personal interpretation, Tim said, is that the entire hall was constructed to house a centrally positioned freestanding object about 40 meters long.
So they're theorizing that somewhere during the time when they basically created, I think, the Aswan Dam, and they flooded the lower valleys, that there's this temple complex underneath there that they've now discovered using this, again, some kind of ground penetrating radar stuff. I don't know. I'm not gonna play like I know what it is, but they found something. And you know, there's actually talk about maybe at some point trying to excavate this, but if they do, man, that's a work. I mean, you've literally got to get rid of water to do that. And I don't see that happening. It would turn most of the valley into Oak Island.
Right.
No, for real. I mean,
yeah,
you know, and who knows, maybe that's what's at Oak Island. I don't know. But there's some weird stuff going on. Let's just put it that way. There's other clips, but this is good. Let's get to your questions now. I want to hear from everybody else. We want to hear your opinions. We want to hear your thoughts, justifications for this cover up. Is there such thing? Is Bob right? I mean, could he be right? You know what? Let's find out. Let's do another poll. Joe, can you do that, or do you want me to do it?
I don't know what questions you want in the poll. Otherwise,
I think we could just. What do you think? Let's just say, you know. Oh yeah, here we go. Let's just say, could there be? Yeah, you can go ahead and let those people roll.
All right, so Octopus says maybe it is simply time travel through space. This is referring to the way Bob was saying these things could just move, and and instantaneously be somewhere else potentially. And then also by proxy referencing the Hopi flying shields. Maybe it's simply time travel through space. Travel would look instantaneous if the craft creates a time bubble around itself and moves where it wants to and then pops the bubble and it's back. It could. That would technically be how warp bubbles work. Then Seth says, the question to me isn't, do we have this tech? My question is, who else has the tech besides the US? I think that's everybody's big concern.
Well, I think that's everybody's big concern. I think that's one of our issues. This is one of those technologies that everybody needs to have. This isn't for one person to have. And I think that's the problem. There is a clip, I can't find it, but Bob actually says that something about what should you do with such a, with such a technology. And he's like, the best thing you could do would be to hide it. Honestly, I'll tell you what the best thing you can do if you had this technology, it's us right now. And you're not going to like my answer because, I'd like to think that we could be responsible and use it, but no, we can't. The best thing, I'm going to take us back to Battlestar Galactica. You're going to love this. One of the key moments of Battlestar Galactica was at the end when they're trying to figure out what they're going to do with the advanced technology so they don't turn around and do the same thing again, and they decide to essentially send the whole fleet into the sun. Yeah, there you go. Exactly. So we don't, end up creating the same mess that we created again. So they literally destroy all their technology. It's science fiction, yes, but Ron Moore, he's on to something there. I'm telling you, man, because that's really the only answer. I think we don't deserve that. We're just not advanced enough for it. And maybe they think we are. I don't know, but I don't think we are.
Maybe it's not necessarily that they think we are, but they think that we could be. And the only way to find out is to give the baby the fork with a light socket.
Oh my God. That's terrible.
We're their food source.
That's terrible. Well, that's another thing.
We're all the food source.
Well, that's what Bob said. He was like, what could one of the, have you ever really thought about, the worst implications? Like, I don't know. What if we're consumables? And I don't mean like, we're food, but maybe we're something that, they need. And
yeah.
I mean, he made a point, a really good point, actually. V, right? Let's go back to sci-fi. But no, for real, I think that we've got, Anyway, read some of these.
Enzo says
please.
A lot of the newer folks in ufology that I've spoken to are only interested in the tech, not that there are complete other cultures out there. And that, in and of itself, is a tremendous thing, because you're talking about interdimensional, intergalactic anthropology, sociology that we don't have any insight to, we could try. We have folks that say that they know, but we don't have any concrete that anybody that at large that has access to this stuff. Like, there's just a bunch of speculation, and a lot of times you wind up in crazy town, or at least sounding like you're from crazy town. Yeah. And it's frustrating because you want to have some of these conversations. Like, I would love, most of the people at my work have no idea what I do on Thursdays or out on the weekends, running around doing stuff.
Yeah.
Because I compartmentalize. But I would love to have these conversations with a lot of these folks, but I simply can't.
Well, they kind of know what I do. So, and no one cares anymore. That's just it. They've gotten used to it, and I don't care. It's just Ron. He's always, talked to aliens. It's all good.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. I wish there was a place other than right here on Thursdays.
Well, there is, Joe. There is, and it's next week actually.
Right. That's right. Yeah, the public get togethering on the 18th. It's going to be a good time. Everybody can come share your ideas all around food and prizes and get to hang out with people in real life.
Real life?
Away from the
Not
screen.
virtual? Really? I like virtual though. Virtual is fun sometimes because you can fly. Well, you can fly in real life too, but not very long. Anyway, I said we'd try something new. So instead of a flute, we've got this little contraption here. This flying saucer thing. This is alien technology, I'm pretty sure.
Pretty fun.
It is. It's actually, this is my rolling mood pan. I've been wanting one of these things forever, and we ordered it like last year or something and didn't get it until just a couple months ago. But this thing's pretty cool, and I'll let you hear it. We're gonna fire it up here. So
Ron's hung drum.
Here we go.
Some Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Right. This version of it is kind of like a theremin because he's playing it in the synth mode, but it has a hand pan mode where you can actually use it like real hand pan or
it's got
steel drums.
I remember when those hung drums first came out, they're metal and they were really expensive. I remember under was born. And now they have these electronic.
And I used to have one, man, and when I was moving from Huntington to Tays Valley, it got a dent in it. Had it been a dent in the bottom, I'd have been totally fine because I would have been able to get in and like with some of my tools rework the form. But it was a dent in the actual like toning area. And it was just I was so bummed.
Yeah. So anyway,
Enzo says it's a Simon game with a synth attached.
Yeah, kind of. It kind of is, right? But no, it does quite a few things. And this is actually one of the instruments you'll get to hear us do over on that special project that we're going to do in the future. So
Indeed.
Yeah, it'll be really, really cool. There'll be all kinds of fun sounds that'll come out of it. That's not one of them. Hang on. Oh, yeah, there it is.
Dave Eggleston says, my wife is listening over my shoulder and wants one now. The curse of living with a multi-instrumentalist. Yeah, it's rough. I'm in the same boat. I don't play publicly at all anymore. My next little thing, I guess, playing with a group is going to be with Dave and Ron. But yeah, Ron's got a ton of instruments. Dave's got a ton of instruments. I've got a ton of instruments.
Well, I mean, you're in a band for 20 some years, you
Right.
accumulate stuff. And then when you see really cool things like that, you're like, well, I got to have that. And it's like, well, what am I going to do with it?
Ron?
What's that?
What's the price of one of those?
I don't know. It's a lot. No, it really is. It's
He doesn't
ridiculous.
want to admit to it.
No, it's kind of ridiculous, but you know what? That was honestly me and Maria. We got that for Christmas. It just didn't come.
I'll say it was
until
a Christmas or anniversary present.
It was
wasn't
Christmas. Yeah, it was Christmas, and it didn't come until March, I think it was. But we knew that going in. It was on back order. They were too popular at first, and then they were hard to get after that. And let me go to our poll here before we stop it. Could there be justification for the cover-up? 67% say yes. 25% say no. 8%. Number 3 says, who cares? Drop the files. You know what? And I think that's a general consensus of the population, guys. I think that you've modeled it very well here. I really do. I think when you look at the data, you can agree. Now, it doesn't mean, oh no, we don't get disclosure. That means that we should be a little careful with it, maybe, possibly. You know, do I want a do I want my own personal desktop reactor that can run a small city? Sure, but do I want the responsibility of I don't know, not messing it up and maybe destroying an entire city in the process? These are things we have to think about with this kind of technology.
Well, this kind of stuff has been talked about in so many end of the world scenarios.
Yeah.
So many ancient cultures talk about what's going to happen next. And how, and generally, it is a falling away from the spiritual nature of life and a running after the materialistic and technological advancement.
And what if the key is a balance between those?
Well, balance is the key to all things.
All things, right? So why is it such an alien concept? There it is. Not what I meant, but why is it such an alien concept for humanity to understand that there can be a balance between technology and the spiritual side, metaphysical side? Call it what you want. And I don't really care, but the point is you've got to have some
metaphysical
level.
Is just a fancy word for spiritual.
I mean, it makes people feel good, Joe. Leave them alone. But here's the thing, though. I mean, why can't we have that balance? Why has it got to be one or the other?
Because go ahead, Dave.
Well, I was going to say, I was kind of going to go along with probably similar to something to Joe, but it's like today, talk about that balance. We saw in the headlines today about Anthropic, who is that AI government contractor that decided not to give the stuff over, and they were kind of basically banned from the government. But they came out today saying that this new, I think it's called Mythos. I think that's what it's called.
It's Mythos.
The new version of AI. It is so powerful.
It's
that they cannot release it out there to the public.
It's what we've talked about. It's the thing that we talked about I think it was 2 years ago, whenever it was, when we said, well, imagine if you have something that's like quantum computing and you add AI to that, and then nothing's safe. Nothing will be safe ever, because it can get into anything and do anything. And then if it has general AI that's built into that, boy, oh boy, oh boy.
Yeah.
Then the fun time begins. And then you don't have balance. So you see, that's the issue. I think there's a way to do this, but it requires balance. And I just don't know if humanity has that in them. I mean,
I'd like to get to the point where we can step away from being consumed with the corruption of power.
That's it right there.
Power doesn't corrupt people. I know that that's contrary to what you often hear about absolute power, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, Stan Lee's rolling in his grave.
Right, but it's the corruption of power.
No, it is. Yeah.
More so. The right people with the right power, great responsibility, you know what I mean? All that whole shtick can do tremendous and marvelous things. The wrong people with the wrong power can do tremendously destructive and deconstructive things.
Right.
And that power does have the ability to twist you, but only if you are already stained by corruption.
Mm-hmm.
So we're dealing with what most people would, not most people, but anybody who comes from any of the Abrahamic faiths would refer to as like the original sin. It is not the act of eating the apple that caused everyone to fall. It was the corruption of the power that came from eating the apple. The corruption that came with the knowledge. the corruption that came with the wisdom that caused everything to break. Because what they did with that knowledge was hide. You know?
Yeah.
And it is a situation where that is set the framework and set the course. At large, we have to make the choice to be more, to be better, to do more, to not fall into corruption, to not fall into the mess and the mire. We don't have the capacity to do the balance. Some of us do. There are individuals that can. There's not a single society on the planet currently that can manage the balancing act.
Not that we know of.
That wouldn't be a human society.
Oh, no. You just said a society, but you know.
Right.
Not that we know.
There's not a human culture, a human society, a nation, country that could manage that.
Nope. So who's with me? We chuck it into the sun.
Team Big Rock.
Yeah. Okay.
We are made of star stuff.
There you go. No, for real. That's my verdict at this point. I mean, I want to have flying cars. I want to have, unlimited power, and save the world. But if we don't have it, if we, the people, don't have it, then no one can. And even if we did, someone's going to go rogue. Someone's going to get corrupt. It's all going to happen. I mean, we know this. Humans are angry apes.
They're saying, chuck it.
Chuck it. Let's hear you. All right. You know what? Let's put us to the test for real. You got 54 people here. I'm starting the poll right now, and I want to see this. I want to see how many of you guys really think this. This will be the last poll of the night. You guys like these polls?
Here's an interesting take. Seth says that he thinks ripping the Band-Aid off of disclosure would help remove some of the corruption and power.
Well, it could.
No, you're right, Octopus. It goes back to that corruption of power. We've basically been run astray on purpose by those in control because of the corruption of the power. They started off altruistically in most cases and then twisted.
And there's so many tangents you can go on to when you talk about control, which is a whole nother show. But you look at old societies, talk about like Illuminati and Freemasons and so on and so on.
You're not wrong though. You're not wrong though. You're not wrong.
Yeah.
You're not wrong, because that's the whole point of that's why we can't, because there will be a society that comes. There will be a secret society that grabs it and says, "This is mine. We're going to use it to hoard over top of all these people. We're going to, we're going to be this. We're going to do this." It's not we're going to do anything. We should all want to do something. We should all want to do something for the better and not try to lord over other people. That is the problem. And for you who say that you want to keep it, that's a great responsibility. Are you ready for that? Think about this for real. I'd love to have it. I'll be 100% honest with you.
It would be really, really cool. But look what we've done with social media.
As of right now, this moment in time, I'm not talking about in the future. I'm talking about right now.
Godot's 1.5. He's in the middle.
1.5. Okay, you're in the middle. I give you that. One. I know, because it's pretty hard for me too. Because, man, I would hate to make that decision. It'd be hard. It would be really hard. But I know someone's going to come along at some point and corrupt it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's inevitable at this point.
For me, for me, it wouldn't be as difficult as of a decision because I've been behind the curtain for too long.
Yeah.
You're a man of balls.
Well, it only takes one person with a bent political skew or a
grievance with anyone,
a radical, view of anything or anyone to be like, you know what? I'm going to use this and I'm going to reign supreme and no one's ever going to stop me. And they're right. No one would be able to stop you because you could do anything you want with that kind of power.
Let's just make it a microcosm.
Yeah.
Okay. And we'll look at this and say, if one person had this in their disposal and wanted to make an example of another person publicly, that in turn creates fear if it's used to do whatever to the person in opposition. That creates fear from anyone else ever deciding to oppose the views of the person who has it. Okay. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering.
Yeah. Yeah.
We know the story.
Yeah. We know how it ends too.
We know how it ends. And you can't even have it like if that's one where, like, I know it sounds terrible sometimes when I say it, but like when I'm earnestly saying, no, I am Team Big Rock. I don't think the worst thing in the world would be to be sent back to the Stone Age for us. I think that's might be the only way to save us.
There comes a bottleneck in societies, and it's happened before. A technological bottleneck in societies, and it's very difficult to get beyond that bottleneck. That's where we are. So, I'm a little more hopeful. I think that there's a snowball's chance that we might pass the test, but as of right now, I don't see that. Just for the simple fact that I know what we're going to do with that technology. And it's not going to be to help us. It's not going to be to help you. It's not going to be to feed the hungry and the downtrodden. No, that's 100% true. Interstellar technology cannot destroy us faster than social media is. Bingo.
Yeah.
No, it's true. And I think that's always one of our biggest issues is the fact that we can't have those kind of discussions. See, that's what's nice about this little program. That's every Thursday we gather together and we listen to everybody. Everybody gets to come on and talk and say their things. And you know what's funny? Everybody comes back next week. So no one gets mad. We prove that we can sit at a table, have different and opposing views, yet still come back and talk the next week. What a concept. Maybe if there were more of us, then I would be swinging more toward, let's keep that technology. And, I don't know, let's go and start our own little island somewhere. I don't know, but I can tell you that it's definitely dangerous.
Enzo says that may have been what happened to those advanced previous societies, according to several groups in India and China and the Hopi and other Native American cultures and South American cultures. Yeah, that's what happened.
Some of the stories of Atlantis,
Atlantis.
Mm-hmm.
Seth says, I think the story of the Tower of Babel trying to reach God and getting destroyed. 100%.
Good. Yep.
I agree, man.
Yep.
I agree.
Yep. That's a very symbolic way of thinking about it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. And I think that's the issue as well with that kind of stuff, because you got the government with these programs. You've got people saying, oh yeah, we made contact. We made contact. Who's we? Who is we? And under what authority did you make contact? I could do it. There you go.
Can you imagine what the Library of Alexandria would have held?
Good point.
The ancient knowledge that was there.
Yeah, good point.
And fear is what destroyed it.
And fear destroyed it. You know,
Of course,
and
we might find some underneath of Egypt, underneath of the pyramids. There could be might be a library there for all we know.
Fear will probably destroy that.
Fear will probably destroy it. But, you know, if it doesn't destroy it,
aliens will.
Well, no, I don't think they will.
Always aliens.
I don't think they will. But if it doesn't destroy it, yes, we will progress into some kind of a new iteration of ourselves. I don't even know what our species would be at that point. But it's definitely a different way of thinking. But you know what, you guys, honestly, I mean, I'm not making this up, but if a small group, you know, of 50 some people can sit around and do this, I don't see why a group of 5,000, 5 million, whatever, can't eventually sit around and do this. So yeah, there's still hope. Don't give up on it, because
we're coming from this group of weirdos, for lack of a better term. We come from such a varied background. You know, we're all merry miscreants from our circles, and we gather here on Thursday nights, and we can share ideas openly. We don't have to sit and get into these pissing contests, and we're able to communicate. We're able to have the conversation. We're able to talk about the tough stuff, and then, like you said, Ron, come back the very next week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they've always, and we talk about this after the show's over. I remember doing our first, like, I don't know, it was one of those shows we did where it was really controversial, and I'm like, oh my God, we're gonna lose people. But we got to do this show.
Yeah,
and we didn't lose anyone, and if we did lose someone, we made up like 5 in the process. So it's like, I don't know, we're doing something right, I guess. People must like it, so I'm thankful for that. That's pretty cool. Looks like about 67% of you guys want the weight of the literal creation on your shoulder, and about 33% of you said destroy it or hide it. So,
oh man, this has been a fun show. We've run over a little bit.
Neither one of those answers is correct, by the way. It's just an
just
observation.
Opinion.
Yeah, it's just opinion, and you might as well get your opinion out for real. A lot of these places you don't get to share your opinions. So we want to hear your opinions. It makes a difference. If
it really
are
does.
Disclosure, then that's part of it.
And you guys are awesome. I want to thank you guys for showing up here every single week. I can't wait to get together with you all in person next week on the 18th in South Charleston. Go follow the link to the Facebook group. Here's one more link back to it for you guys.
Is there I think I got like a little graphic here somewhere. Let me find that. I think it's over here because I made it for us. Collective. We got the other 3 right here. Collective meeting. Yeah, there it is. Open up. 1, 2, and meeting 2, meeting 1. Well, I thought it was here. I guess it's, oh yeah, no, that's just a food thing. Yeah, there'll be food. That's
there's going to be free food. There's going to be free gifts. You guys are going to enjoy it. It's going to be fun.
Flute.
And we will cover with more details next week and show you guys. Yes, Dave Eggleston is requesting flute.
I see that.
You guys are awesome. Thanks for hanging out with us for 2.5 hours tonight on this edition of Wild and Weird Radio Live. And it's been fun. Ron, give him a little tune before we jump out.
Here we go. Whoops. Apparently I lost my part here. Hang on.
Snap that bad boy back in.
Like, wait a minute now. There we go.
Giving us a little bit of a Celtic jig here. All right, everybody. Thanks for coming. Thanks for hanging out with us. We appreciate each and every one of you. Show up and spend your Thursday nights with us week in and week out. We can't wait to see you again next week right here on Wild and Weird Radio Live. And remember, the majority of what we've gotten from Artemis so far, the footage has been CGI. Do with that what you will.
I'm out on that.